So basically, during a session last month, Joan of Arc came through, and it was a very powerful moment. And then both of us had some confirmation right after with a posting on social media. And she has been with me off and on ever since. And she said that she wanted or asked, I mean, they never say that you have to do something, but she asked me to teach a class based on what she's bringing to Earth at this time. Because right now, particularly this month, but this year and ongoing, is a very important moment in the history of Earth, and what we will know as the Great Awakening on the planet. And it's kind of hard for us to see it when we're in it, right? Some of us can see it, some of us can sense it or feel the energy of it, but it is a difficult moment when we look around on the planet. And it might continue to be that way for a little while. But she has some very important and encouraging words. So I also am going to channel her live. I wrote notes for a part of a class she wants to teach based on what she is bringing through. Just to give you a couple of things that I didn't know about her and I've learned in the last month or so. The first thing she wanted me to tell everybody is that she's saying we are all divine messengers of spirit, and that we all can be spiritual warriors in the same way that she was an example of a spiritual warrior at this time. She's also, I didn't know, she came as a messenger of the divine, but she is also part of the Magdalens, the Order of the Magdalens, and she is part of that group, and had incarnated into that tradition several times. And this was in part to bring the divine feminine and healing for the divine feminine to France at the time she was alive, or she's still alive. So I never know how to say that exactly, but when she was on Earth, rather. And she also, for those of you who study the different rays of incarnation, basically, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I'm just going to give a quick something. They're different rays of incarnation, and humans often incarnate onto certain rays for purposes of life lessons. And we have also sub-rays, but I'm not going to get into that. Shows me that she is on the first ray in this particular lifetime. And her spiritual mission was to kind of incarnate and embody this divine will and all aspects of divine will. And so this ray is about power versus divine will. And that's part of the mission she came to embody in this lifetime, is through her personal example as, a peasant, basically at 13 years old, receiving these messages from the divine, which we all receive. She says we just need to tune into our hearts and learn to listen. So with that, that's just to give you a little background of some information about her. She also works strongly with Archangel Michael, and he is present with us today. So here's her message and messages. And if you have questions as you go, please put them in the chat, and I will do my best to answer them as we go. And I will also leave time at the end, I know there was a question that somebody sent me in an email, so I'll remember to answer that. Okay, this came through this afternoon and also earlier this morning. Today's message is one of trust, complete and total trust in yourself and what you came here to do. You are no different than me. You can see me as a model now for this type of trust, for giving my life and doing what was being asked of me. People see many feats as attributed to my name in battle. The battle you face is here on your doorstep. The enemy, you may not see the enemy, but the enemy is at hand and darkness is present. I say this not to scare you, but in truth, it is good to look at the enemy straight in the eye and say, I see you and I am not afraid. So when she's talking of the enemy, she wants me to clarify. There are factions at this time on earth that are intent on suppressing the natural evolution of the human consciousness, which is happening, right? Humans are having to make a choice, she says. We are having to choose whether to evolve our consciousness, and some are choosing at this time not to evolve. And it's not for us to judge, but there are, forces that are intent on suppressing this human consciousness. And so we're not thinking of this so much as we're also partly an enemy of ourselves, right? And humans are often in battle with themselves. So we can view this enemy, and she uses this word, and she also uses the word God a lot. So if the word God is triggering to you, right, we're not talking about an external God, but we're talking about the God that exists within all of us, okay, that we are part of as source, as consciousness. And the reason I'm saying this is because she's going to say God a lot, and she does. And if that's triggering, you can, for some of us that grew up in really organized religion, that could be a bit off-putting. So you can feel free to replace the word God with source or universe, whatever feels right to you. But she says God. And she also says, if you feel afraid, know too that I felt afraid. But with the armament of spirit, you can set your eyes upon the task to be who you are on this earth. All are here now on purpose. There's no limitation to what you can create in this potent time. You are here on mission as I was. Accept the mission at hand. What stands before you as tests and challenges in the coming years will be part of what you have chosen to experience. Humans right now have created situations of extreme disempowerment to remember their empowerment. Some said that I could not because I am a woman. I am neither woman nor man, but a servant of the living God. And knowing my fate at an early age, I felt no more worthy than any of you. But I knew the strength of God could not be questioned or resisted. I am the divine embodiment of power and strength, your mere in service. Okay, so we're going to talk about, she has some ways for us to really learn to step into our own power, right? And she talks a lot about this because this is a moment in the consciousness of human evolution when we will see that there was a change that happened. we will see that there were seeds planted for the earth that we are moving toward and the earth that we want to live on. But it is important right now that we all actively step in our own power. So for the first, she has several steps to embody your own power. First, and you will have the recording of this, so you don't have to write all of this, but if you want to write something down, that's fine too. The first active task is to shed all labels and definitions of who people have told you that you are, and spend time aligning yourself with who you really are. So that she shows me the way she appears to me is she's wearing white, and she showed me that in battle she wore white too, with a white sword, and she has a shield. Okay, and one of the reason, well, she was burned at the stake for witchcraft, which I didn't know. And she also was forced in the end of her life to sign a declaration admitting that she was wrong. And what she showed me, that sitting there in basically confinement for a year, after she was forced to sign that declaration, she came to the conclusion and heard from the spirit within her that she could not, that it was time to go. She knew she was going to die. So what she did was she put on man's clothing, and she did that throughout her life. She didn't dress like, what we would think of a woman in medieval times. And she put on man's clothing because that was one of the charges against her. And she knew full well that she was going to die for doing this after she had signed this document. And she decided that it was the final statement of her life to put this clothing back on and claim, like, this is who I am, and I am going to be this no matter what anybody thinks of me or says or claims of me. And she was willing to die for that. Now, she's not sitting here today saying these messages because we're going to have to die for who we are. That's not what she's saying. But we are called upon right now specifically to be who we are. And be who we are without fear of judgment or recrimination, she says. We are called to be warriors of spirit. And in the process of becoming a warrior of spirit, to know that you are being guided and protected in all moments. And that is really a powerful message. It's to shed, and she even kind of shows me just casting off these labels and it's almost like you want to just kind of brush them off. I don't know, I've had this experience today where I was like, let's get rid of that. And I just literally brush it off a couple times today, patterns and things that are coming up. But we're casting aside, actively casting aside these labels and definitions that people have maybe given us or that we've somehow taken on that are not who we are. So, and it can be anything. It can be how a profession that you were maybe told you had to go into, or it can be a role that you have played for a long time that you think you have to play. It can even be how you dress, right? But this is about casting those labels aside and being authentically ourselves. And so she says to one of the ways she did this when she first began hearing spirit, she calls it just hearing spirit, but she heard various saints, angels. She has a group of angels surrounding her at all times when she's walking on earth, and now and with us today. What she says is that this is about identifying with your spiritual heart and your spiritual aspects over any identification on earth, right? So really, when you begin to, and I know many people on this call are already on this path, but still it's a good reminder from a warrior of spirit and a woman who just frankly didn't give a damn what other people thought of her, you know, and went and defeated England in a battle. I mean, it's pretty remarkable what she did. So she is talking about changing our identification as we cast off these labels and definitions. And by doing that, she's simply suggesting when something comes up for review and it doesn't feel aligned for us anymore, when some way of being comes up that doesn't feel like that's aligned in any way, we just can simply begin to shed these layers of ourselves by having an awareness that that's not truly who I am. And how do you do this? You do this by identifying with your spiritual heart and constantly tuning in over and over with this spiritual heart. When you tune into your spiritual heart, you begin to see all other beings as aspects of source, of God, she says. She wants me to say God. I usually say source, but she says God. When you tune into your spiritual heart, you begin to see all humans, all animals, all plants as aspects of the one divine God within. I know this God because I am part of the living God. So she wants us to just each day simply change our identification. When we begin to identify with ourselves as, you know, a personality, an ego, change the identification to first connecting within to your spiritual heart, and then seeing all others from this place. As you do that, you will begin to be more easily able to cast aside these labels and definitions. And somehow these are like misalignments, right? Of what people said we should be. The second thing she's asking us to do right now is to reclaim our inner authority and take up our, and she called it the sword of our sovereignty, which is, I thought, to be an extremely beautiful image. She says, many rights have been and she's talking about the divine feminine right now. Many rights have been stolen, distorted, or forgotten. So what's happening, she shows me, is this rebalancing of the feminine energy, the divine feminine energy is happening on Earth. But simultaneously, as this energy floods the planet and there's a rebalancing that occurs, there is an active suppression that is occurring to keep the feminine down. And by feminine, I don't mean woman, but rather within each of us, we contain both the divine feminine and masculine. But she shows me that many things on the planet will change as this feminine rises and rebalances. Part of the work here She's showing me some things that will change, so she wants me to talk about them. Okay. One of the things that's going to change on the planet is how we give birth. I know there are many women on this call. I know there are men too, but this is something very important. We are going to be returning to the very sacredness of birth as a conscious act. And the woman, the divine feminine who gives birth, will be a conscious intermediary of spirit as it leaves the body and is born into the world. So we will be returning to the understanding of the initiation of birth and birth as a sacred act. During this lifetime, she did not give birth, but has in other lifetimes, and understands the importance of the restoration of this act as part of the evolution of human consciousness. That's one thing that's really going to change within our lifetime, hopefully. I sure hope so. Another thing that's going to change is our idea of humanity. She's showing me a lot of divine feminine leaders and channels that energy is really rising on the planet. And when I say that, I don't necessarily mean women altogether. It could be a male with a lot of divine feminine energy also. But what I'm shown, right now she is showing me a lot of women, in particular women leaders, many of which are on this call right now, she says. Do not be afraid of your power. Embody your power. Use your voice for change. Change is needed. You are here and listening to me for a reason. Hold on a second. I get hot when I channel. Okay. Reclaim your inner authority and take up the sword of your sovereignty. The time has come to recognize the power of this. And what she means by sovereignty is this idea of our own inner authority, of our own inner authority that is given to us by God, by spirit, okay? Meaning, because we are divine, because we are vessels of the divine, because we are embodiment of source incarnate on the planet, each and every one of us, we are inherently granted this sovereignty. It is for us to have and to claim as our own. So what's important about that is this idea that it's not to say that we won't have other teachers and other spiritual teachers and people we learn from, and right. So it's just that we can have all that, because sometimes people say you are your own best guru, which is true. And then, which is the part of that that's true, is that we are reclaiming our sovereignty, right? And we're understanding that we are our own best teacher as a mirror of the divine. And it's also okay to periodically learn from other people. So it's like, it can be both. I think things are sometimes more nuanced than we say, than sometimes spiritual communities say, you know what I'm saying? So she recommends, if you have not done this, which it was interesting, I ended up doing this week or last week, I can't remember, but is writing your own declaration of sovereignty. And, kind of writing it to yourself, but also as a declaration to the divine, that you are stating that you are a sovereign being, and you are reclaiming this for yourself. And something happens with this declaration. I'm seeing all this energy as I'm looking at these Zoom windows right now. I see some people, if you haven't done this already, and some people probably have, but I see all this energy like shooting out of the frames, the boxes right now from this power, because it's about us finally taking our power back in this lifetime, right? And it might have taken us, 11,000 lifetimes to get here, right? That's about me, or whatever. I mean, actually, I'm more like almost 12,000, but it might have taken us this many lifetimes to get here. But the good news is that we're here, and we're here now, and we're here at this potent window of time, that we consciously chose to experience so that we could help others remember who they are and their own power. And why we're experiencing so many, collectively, she was showing me, so many instances of disempowerment is because we are here to divinely remember, right? We are here to divinely remember who we are and this power within us. And so we're experiencing all these ways in which we feel disempowered. We can feel disempowered by COVID, for example, or our government, or, take your pick. There's lots of options, and I'm not getting into any positions on any of this. I'm just saying there's lots of ways as humans we can look around and feel disempowered, right? With our financial situation, she's giving some more examples, with our employment. Like some people here who will listen to this call later might feel disempowered about the job that they're going to every day, where they feel like they have no power or agency in this job. Now, this isn't about necessarily changing your external circumstance right away, but aligning with your authentic power within. And what happens is you begin to align with who you are and to create from that place as you shed layers of who you are not. And you begin to hear your own guidance, the voice of spirit, as she calls it. And you begin to step into the role and the divine blueprint that you came here to you're part of your mission, right? And we all have an individual role to play, and that's really important. So this is an interesting one, and one I wasn't expecting. She wants us all, she says, many on this call right now, as we are speaking, have been, a lot of us have been connected in past lifetimes, and a lot of us have been killed in past lifetimes for this work as, witches. And I mean that like in a positive sense. They kind of use the label, she was killed as a witch. And she made me laugh because she said I was a witch, and then 2 weeks later I was a saint, and just to notice that, right? I mean, really, literally, she got killed as a witch and a heretic, and then 2 weeks later she was a saint. And she was encouraging us that we could maybe see that they're one and the same, right? But many of us have had connections through offering our energy and our work as healers in other lifetimes. And as part of that, some of the fear that keeps us clamped, she shows me like it's like a lid on a pot that wants to come out really strongly, but we keep kind of trying to hold it down, is this fear of being killed in other lifetimes. And so it's really important practice right now is to work with yourself, and in any way that feels right to you, talk about how you are safe to do the work in the world now, that you are safe and divinely guided. And to, we should do, okay. She wants us to all, clear any fear of stepping into our role as healers or witches, right? I mean, you don't have to call yourself a witch unless that feels aligned to you. And to clear any fear from previous experiences of being shamed or humiliated or worse, even killed. Okay, and that's really important because, and I was kind of surprised that she mentioned that, but that's really important because she wants us to be who we are rather fearlessly and be unapologetic about who we are, because there's some, again, it's that spark of energy that I can see, around our Zoom. Wouldn't it be nice when we can all do things in person again? No, but I like this too, but I'm just saying, like, someday. There's a spark of energy that is like divine codes that people receive subconsciously when we step into being who we are and we're not apologizing anymore for it, right? And it's not necessarily who your parents think you should be, or your family, or even your spouse, right? It could be she has some stuff to say about that too. But sometimes when we begin to reclaim our power and our sovereignty, we might make other people feel uncomfortable. Because, it's, as somebody said something. Do you have something to say, Sonia? You agree? I can't hear you.
I just said, I don't care if I make them uncomfortable.
Good. No, that's what she's saying. Good. I'm glad to hear that. But it's, and I've noticed that in the last, it's interesting to me that this class was planned because I've had a really intense experience in the last week where I had to stand in my power and just be like, this is how I am going to live my life. And if this is me in alignment with spirit. And I'm sorry if you don't agree with me. And it's like really been the perfect, because this is how it always rolls, right? Like you'll be called to teach something or share something, and then you'll get to embody it also through some really, really powerful tests. So I was just noticing that the lessons were coming in really strong and strong this week for me to actually stay true to who I am and to stand in my own power. And that will look different for each and every one of us, right? But the larger point is that as we embody who we are and we're fearless, I mean, we might have fear, but we do it anyway, right? And we're not apologizing for who we are anymore. Some people will be drawn to it, and they will be drawn to your work and your teachings. And I mean that broadly. Like you can be in your power and being who you are in anything you do, right? If you have an office job, or if you're cutting hair, or whatever it is, right? There's so many varieties of types of healers on the planet, right? There's not just one form. So to keep that in mind, because I just heard like a little message or somebody here saying something, yeah, but I only do this. No, she wants us to say, she says, I was only a peasant, right? I was, I could not even read or write. I was only a peasant. And at 13, I was given the divine voice of spirit that said, trust, hear me, do as you are called. And she shows me it's really about you, for all of us, including myself, because I'm learning this lesson, or I wouldn't have had these opportunities this week, right? It's about us kind of stepping into our spiritual shoes. And as we do that, and stand in our power in whatever we're doing, because we're authentically aligned with who we are, in whatever form that takes, whether you're a channel or a healer or a coach or whatever it is, right? There's so many ways. Some people will be uncomfortable, but have unwavering, and this is an important quote, have unwavering faith in who you are and who you came here to be. Okay. So she wants me to say that again. Okay. You must have unwavering faith in who you are and who you came here to be. I might write that down somewhere and look at it, And I was thinking, and I'm going to go on in a second, but I'm just going to tell you one thing. I had a really interesting experience where I was on, it hasn't come out yet, but on a YouTube channel, somebody's YouTube channel being interviewed. And I was so nervous because it has all, thousands or whatever of people. And I was felt terrified. And I thought, there's going to be people that say mean things about me, and because the internet, right? I like to keep it intimate, and trolls and all these mean things. And I just got just almost had a freak out panic attack about that last week. And I was so reminded that when we are warriors of spirit, right, we're going to have people sometimes come at us. And I'm just going to say talk about the darkness for a second, not so we can focus on it. We don't like to, right? But just that we can acknowledge that this kind of thing will sometimes happen. And so what she's talking about with this unwavering faith in who we are and the mission, and each person will have a unique mission, right? And who we came here to be. It's really about, turning all that noise and turning away from it, and having so much coming the trust in yourself. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So that's one thing that came up for me. I've also lots of lifetimes of just so many lessons this week for me. I think it's that kind of intense energy of the full moon. Did anybody else feel that too? It came all at once. It was yeah. Okay. She says, everyone here now is unique and has a divine mission. Our mission is to heal ourselves, both ourselves and the planet. And one of the things that's so powerful about this moment in time, that as humans, we haven't quite, we might not understand fully, is that we have the energy is so intense and strong, and it brings up all of our stuff, right? In this very potent way to deal with and alchemize. But the flip side of that, or the benefit of having this intense energy, is that we can align and create what we want to create faster than we ever have before. It is about 8 times faster than it was 20 years ago. So just and that's just me saying this. I'm gonna, she has a few more things, and then, I'm running out of time already, but that's okay. And so just to keep that in mind, because once we come back to us as sovereign beings, we can use and implant in our imagination some of these things that we want to create in the world. And not from a place that's like, I want and we're creating from that small I place. But it's from this unwavering faith. And as we begin to shed the parts of us that are not really authentic, you begin to recognize, oh, this is really who I am. And I'm going to create and manifest from that place. Does that make sense? Do you get the distinction? She also says to, this is very important, to ask daily for unwavering support from the unseen realms, and you will receive. Ask daily for an unwavering support. She says she can work with those who call on her individually, especially if you've had any issues about specific to being in your own power, or if you lose your power easily, right? Like, I know that was a big problem of mine, where I would be in certain types of energy fields, like certain types of people, and I would just seem to like lose my power really quickly. That you can call on her for assistance, and she will help you with that. She is happy to assist. But really making a concerted effort, we align with ourselves, and then we ask for support from our divine and sacred guides in the unseen realms. And what happens when we ask for support is that we begin to receive it. It's simple as that. Because we live on a free will planet, the spirit will not intercede unless we ask for support. So it's just as simple as asking, right? And everyone on the planet right now has a divine and sacred team. So that's kind of beautiful. Notice, and this is her final, one of her final point for today. And then we're going to do a little quick exercise to feel our own power, and then we will answer questions. Okay. Notice the places that scare you. Observe without judgment the situations, and she meant places like internally, right, that scare you, and begin to address each and every one with unwavering faith and trust in yourself. So I think the message is pretty clear. And, when I was thinking about even just this idea of having unwavering faith and trust in ourselves, I know I certainly don't at the moment, right? It's something I'm working on, but it would be disingenuous for me to sit here and say, oh, I have unwavering faith in myself and what I'm here to do. Some days I feel like I don't have it. But that's what she's really helping me to embody, is this: no matter what other people think, no matter what they say. And often when people are, lashing out, it's just a projection of their own pain that they're feeling, right? No matter what they say or think, we are standing in divine alignment with who we are and who we came here to be. So her message is simple but challenging, but beautiful. Okay. We're going to feel, she has an exercise for us, so we can feel the first ray. Okay, I want you to imagine this ray of energy. It's like a ray of energy, and it's going to be like a royal blue color. And I want you to imagine that this ray, as it comes in your field, it's going to come up through the bottom of your feet and travel up your body. It is going to help you embody your own divine will and power. Okay? So stepping into your power. So let's just close our eyes for a moment. I didn't know you could use the rays like this, but she kind of helped me. Okay, I just want you to close your eyes for a moment. And I want you just to imagine, if you have your feet on the ground, that through the bottoms of your feet, you have this access, this divine energy of power and divine will, and just feeling this frequency as it travels up your body. She wants in particular this energy to travel up our spinal column and sense what it is like when it moves through your spinal column and each of your chakras. She calls it divine certainty. Let it move up your body. And you can move, keep going until you feel just filled with this energy of your own power. And this particular ray is going to help assist you in coming into your own power, which is unique to you. Okay. And when you're ready, you can just blink your eyes open. See if you can feel any shift from that exercise. It's really super simple, but I know when I did that, I don't remember when I did it a couple days ago, and I've been kind of working with it. I felt a shift. I was like, ooh, there I am. Okay, this is me with the ability to stand in my power, and if necessary, set boundaries or whatever it is, right? And it was really an interesting shift. Okay, let's look at these questions. If you want to come on live, you are totally welcome to. Let's see. I have a question about how to balance parenting and my sovereignty versus my children's sovereignty. Okay. Oh, is that Heather? Hi, Heather.
Yeah. Hi. So I have a very precocious 4-year-old with a very strong spirit, which is great. I don't want to squash it, But I do need to have her listen and set some boundaries around certain things. And sometimes I feel like, saying it nicely 2 or 3 times doesn't really get the sentiment across, And so like
How do you do
I'm
it?
just wondering how to, and it doesn't even necessarily be kids, it can be parents, it can be, anybody. I'm just wondering if there are like suggestions and tips on how to be like, okay, is this me coming from an ego place versus me coming from a spirit place? And
Okay.
how do you do that in like the split second that you need to make like a parental decision,
Right. No, that's okay. Thank you. That's a good question. She says, do not confuse a person's sovereignty with the need to be a parent. Okay. Right. So you can recognize that your child is a sovereign being. We can see everyone around us from this lens, right? And maybe they haven't claimed it for themselves, and that's okay. But we can see everyone as part of the divine. Okay. That said, sometimes you being in your power, there is a necessity to create um, boundaries and limitations. Okay. And that's totally fine. So it's not, you're just seeing your daughter. This is your daughter, right? You're seeing your daughter as a being of spirit, and then acting as her parent still, right? So it's not to say that it's not, sometimes being fully in our power means that we have to set even firm boundaries, and that's been misconstrued often, and it often is misconstrued with healers in particular, right? That we're just healers and we're just like, no, sometimes we need to set firm boundaries, and that's totally acceptable. She said basically just to not confuse the idea of sovereignty with the need to set boundaries for your child. Does that make sense? Okay. What kind of support will we receive when asking energetic support? You will receive, yes, you will receive energetic support. She shows me that she has a group of angels with her. So it's like a team of beings that you can receive support from. She really feels, she came to Earth with this very burning mission, and it wasn't. I mean, yes, in one sense, she's saying it was to win the 100 Years' War, as you call it. But the larger mission was to teach people the necessity to listen and honor what their spirit is telling them to do. That was the larger mission. So you will receive energetic support, but also she shows me that you can receive teaching about how to specifically honor your own power and to step into your own power and sovereignty. So that's what you can call on her for. Okay. Here's a how do you recognize the voice that's what it is you were called to do? Okay, I think that's what that means. How do you recognize the voice? Oh, and figure out what you were called to do. Okay. She goes back to tuning into your spiritual heart and learning to identify with that, your spiritual heart and your spiritual. And what she means by that is your spiritual center on a daily, moment by moment basis. So we're changing our identification. We're moving away from this identification as I, Courtney, right? And we're moving into identification as I am source, I am spirit, right? So she wants us to begin to, it's almost like turning and changing our identification, and the voice becomes louder and clearer as you do that. This is like any practice. It may take time to hear and know clearly, but Spirit is always guiding you, always leading you, and always giving you support. So it's just about learning to, she's showing me like a picture of somebody in their mind being kind of loud too. So the more that you can, through maybe a meditation practice, the more that you can learn to quiet the mind. And it's not so much about the meditation itself. Like you might just sit in meditation and learn to be peaceful, but it's what the meditation can allow us to kind of like the frequency that we can kind of stay in throughout the day, where there's somehow it becomes easier to receive messages, right? As we ask, like we might pose a question in the morning and not feel like we get an answer. But, as the day goes on, we might receive some part of that answer later on. So she also, she's showing me saying to trust the timing of your life. You are exactly, this is for this person who said something. You are exactly where you are meant to be at this moment. And allow yourself to dream the dream of Spirit, to dream the dream of God. And she, it's like she wants us all to dream a little more, dream bigger, really. Like, honestly, she wants us to dream bigger than we are currently allowing ourselves to dream. And then she just gave me chills. So she wants me to emphasize that. Okay. This is such, it's like we're like the ground crew, and so it's really hard sometimes as the ground crew to understand how big of a deal this change on earth is, right? But I don't know why that's funny. I just called it the ground crew. But we're just like, so we're here doing it, and we kind of forget, but dream bigger and hear the voice of God within daily. It just becomes a practice of getting quiet, asking, and the answers will come. Because the truth is, we are all God, we are all Spirit, and the more we tune in and listen, the clearer this and louder this voice will become. Okay. This question, I honestly, truly scare myself. When I get glimpses as myself, I run away screaming. Why? Because I'm powerful. How can I stop chronically running away from myself? That's a really amazing question, actually. Okay, hold on one second. Allow yourself, she shows me like the sort of, you feel your power, and then there's a recognition, and then you run away. So she says, stay a little longer each day. One day, be in your power and feel your power and recognize your power for 5 minutes. And the next day, do it for 7 minutes, right? It's sort of like she wants you to, she shows me a fire. This is going to sound a little disturbing, but it's like, put your feet in the fire and let them stay a little, it's going to be really uncomfortable at first. But each day, work on staying a little bit longer. With each decision you make, observe the choice of whether I'm going to answer authentically as or make the decision rather authentically as myself or as the conditioned person, right? With each sentence or each something you say, she's saying, observe and align and answer that from that place. So it's just like a practice. And you can work on not running away by staying longer in this frequency every day. And little by little, it will be you kind of like half a day, then maybe the full day. And then you will no longer run away from yourself. No, that's pretty good. Okay. I have one more question that I want to answer that somebody who couldn't be here, she had a school pickup, I think, asked. And she asked, and she's going to be on the recording. She asked if Joan had a message for the children of today. So let me see what she says. I thought a good question. As children, you are the keepers of new earth. You are often more aware than your parents, more conscious, more awake, more able to connect with yourself as a spirit and the spirit beings who surround you. Fear not the upcoming changes, but know that you are a beautiful asset to this planet and you are part of God's divine creation. That's nice. Okay. Does anybody else have any questions? Didn't get to ask anything. I want to make sure I get all the questions. Let's see. Anybody want to come off speaker, on speaker? No? Okay. Oh, who's that? Oh, Sarah. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Good. Does she have not a quick meditation, but does she have a visualization we can use to help us stay in our power?
Yes, yes. As we're saying that, she shows me, it's like you want to put it out like in your room, see it, but she has these columns of light. She shows me a column of light that's taller than you, but it surrounds you. And for some reason, it's a column. It's not a bubble. Okay, that's very specific. But one thing you can do is imagine that your divine blueprint and who you came here to be exists fully. It's like a part of the column of light or part of the column of light's energy. Okay, does that make sense? And so what you want to do is you want to imagine, you can, in like a meditation or something like that, or maybe you're just walking and you imagine this, you step into this column of light and you stand there fully. And then what you do is you allow all the energy. It's almost like a sword, but not totally. It's a column. And you allow this column of energy to sort of fill you and communicate with yourselves. That's what she's saying. And there's a communication with your cells that's happening. And as that communication occurs, there is, because you've set that intention, there's codified information that you receive that will assist in your awakening and stepping authentically into your power. Okay, so that's a good exercise. Thank you for that question. That was really good. Okay. Well, I with that, I think we will end. Wait, hold on a second. There's one more question. Okay. If you have to go, I honor that and thank you for coming, but I'll just go ahead and answer this last question. Is this the lifetime the one in which I find my partner whose spirit and mission supports and complements my spirit and mission and vice versa? Who will see and support all parts of me, and who will I see and support in return without compromising myself? That's a great question. Okay, let's see. She says, this is the lifetime that you, she's speaking to this person, will come together with a beloved in support of your mission. Many, if not most, in this lifetime, and not all, because there's some that are not going to choose the path of the beloved, right? However, if you have a desire to choose the path of beloved, yes, yeah, I think I can see it. I just can see a head going like this. You can ask Spirit, remember, because there was one of her points is ask for unwavering support from the unseen realms, right? Ask for assistance because many are coming to Earth in divine support of one another for shared missions at this time. And I just got chills. Right? This is very, very important. So you can ask and receive support for your mission, and someone will support you back. That said, she's saying, notice if there's programs or patterns that you are meant to kind of work through. And this is just for everyone, right? In order to call in this partner for yourself. But that it's available. Okay. Oh, then she says, never mind. But that was still a good question. Sorry, I answered it. I had her answer it anyway. She was fine to answer it. Okay. So thank you all for coming and being here. And she is here to assist. Call on her, especially if you feel like there's like that warrior aspect, or if you're having any trouble standing in your power, you can call on her, and she will come, probably with Archangel Michael. So thank you so much for being here. And yes, she is saying she is ascended, that her lifetime, there was, through that process, she began her ascension, but she has ascended. So that's what she showed me. So, but anyway, thank you all. And I hope you have a blessed evening or day. I guess there's other people in other parts of the world. And I will see everybody next month. Okay. All right. I'm going to take, if you want to say, get off mute, you can say bye too. Thank you for coming. Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you,
Thank you so
Courtney.
much.
Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Have a good day.
Bye.
All right. Have a good day, everyone. Bye.